And in the top left corner, a newcomer in the BSL, the yellow Protoss, Shaky. And in the bottom right corner, a fan favorite in the bum Starcraft League, the red Zerg, Jaco. And we're familiar with Jaco. Many fans have seen his series against On the ATAC. It was a heartbreaker loss for Jaco. He's looking to come back in the winner's bracket now. He needs this win to move on and stay in this tournament. And Shaky here, he's a newcomer into the BSL, but he's not a newcomer to StarCraft. He's a veteran of the game. He's played even StarCraft 1. He was a Masters player in the heart of the Swarm. And now he's coming back. He's played a bit of Zerg in the past. He's played Terran. Now he's starting to play Protoss on the ladder. He's ranked Platinum 2. So although Jaco is a Diamond 2 player and is the favorite on paper, we've seen him drop a series against a Platinum 2 on the ATAC. So nothing is for sure here. And we see here Shaky starting with the pylon block against Jaco's natural. And the drone now is probably going to try and plant that expansion somewhere else. But the probe is harassing it. If Shaky can get a pylon block onto this third base location, that would be huge for him. And it seems like now Jaco is sending a different drone to take this third and using this drone to scout. But that is a very delayed second base. Going down at about 140 when normally the hatchery goes down at about 52, 53 seconds for the Zerg if they go 17 hatch. And look at this, some nice micro by Shaky. And the drone goes down. So Shaky already here asserting himself in the BSL. A strong opening. He killed the drone. He's opening here 2-gate side core before the Nexus. So if there's any potential vulnerability in Shaky's build, it's that this Nexus itself is also very late. So we'll see how he manages his economy going forward. Roach War now for Jaco, getting a second gas. Let's see what he wants to do with that second gas. Maybe an early Ravager timing since the Roach Warren is down. Putting a Spine down also. Maybe he realizes that Shaky opened 2-gate sidecore before a Nexus, so he's putting a Spine down to protect himself. Even though the likely attack locations will be these hard-to-defend expansions from Jaco. Still, this pylon is blocking the natural expansion. You'd think some Lings would have shut this down by now. And Shaky can tend to macro up a bit here. He's going shield battery to protect himself in the front. Not a bad move. He still doesn't know for sure if Jaco is looking for that patented Baneling rush or Baneling bust, but we know the Roach Warren's down instead. And another Spine Crawler here from Jaco. So he's playing pretty cautious. Respectful of Shaky's muscle. And let's see what Shaky is planting here. Another gateway. He's usually not a big starport Protoss. He likes to go for a robust ground army. And Jaco knows that, hence the Spine Crawlers. And it's a robo facility after the gateway, and now Jaco finally taking down the pylon. But again, Jaco's expansions are lacking drones. And we even see here, Shaky, despite the late Nexus, he's pulling ahead in the probe count. He's been chrono boosting out probes pretty consistently. And he's actually up in workers against the Zerg. But once 3 hatcheries start consistently getting injected, that's when the Zerg should be able to pull ahead in the drone count. We see here this queen just popped for Jaco. A little bit late with the inject, however. And it's mastering these fundamentals that Jaco will need to continue to work on if he wants to progress on the ladder in the Diamond League. And that's a rather late inject. And we see here, Shaky continues to pull ahead in the worker count. So it could be possibly because these larvae are not being spent. on drones, and injects are not happening. You see here Jaco going lair. He is pumping out a few drones, though. He just pulled ahead of Shaky's worker count. But Shaky himself, it's a pretty decent army here. He's got an Immortal coming. Getting an Observer out following that. And he's got a decent Stalker count here. 3 gateways. Twilight Council coming down. So no third Nexus from Shaky so far, so it looks to be more of a 2-base push, possibly. Because this army's looking robust. And really all that Jaco has on the map are 2 Roaches and 2 Lings. So I'm not sure Shaky's aware of this. He is sending an observer across the map to check things out, but he could literally move across the map right now and definitely make Jaco pay for his low army count. But despite the low amount of army for Jaco, he's also behind in workers. Supply blocked here at 58. And we see Shaky pulling ahead in the supply. Just macroing a little bit better than Jaco right now. Again, these queens pooling a lot of energy. And Jaco putting a Hydra Den down. Starting to get the workers up here. Takes out this observer with the Spore. And the queen. So nice job there from Jaco. But Shaky looks to be posturing, possibly for an attack here. Yep, he's walking outside the ramp. And we'll see here, this is the first assault from Shaky in the BSL, so let's see what he's made of. We know what Jaco can do. He has a few Roaches more or less in position for this attack, a Spine Crawler as well. Shaky here. Sending the second Immortal. Not quite sure if it's actually worth waiting for. But it definitely is valuable against a Roach army. These Immortals will do great work against the Roaches. So let's see what happens. Jaco sending an Overseer across the map. He's trying to get information. Perhaps he senses something is about to come. And here we go. Shaky's on the creep. The Roaches come in. They're trying to focus down a Stalker. They take out a Stalker. Nice job from Jaco. Queen gets microed back, gets an inject before it likely dies. And we see here the Queen's a bit too forward. Shaky coming in, sniping the Queen. He's focusing down the Spine Crawler. But the Immortal's exposed. A nice target fire from Jaco. And he's pushing this army back without the second Immortal. It's really hard for Shaky to fight these Roaches. And look at this, a recall from Shaky. He loses 2 more Stalkers. So great job from Jaco pushing that attack back. But in the meantime, Shaky has planted this third Nexus. But it's very exposed right now. Shaky needs to be planting a pylon and some batteries and cannons at this third base location, because right now it's totally undefended. And Jaco can punish this positioning. Shaky is just standing behind his shield batteries at his ramp because he doesn't have much of an army. He just got obliterated in that fight. He lost all of his high-tech units. Now the Stalkers defending behind a battery, and this is what Jaco doesn't want to do. He has a perfect attack target with this third base location that he can take for free without any batteries or cannons or choke points. And instead he attacked up the ramp, and meanwhile Shaky here, the nice little Zealot warp in, drawing the whole army back from Jaco. The Queen pops out again. The original Queen has fallen at this base. And Jaco fully retreats, and that's giving Shaky time to get this third base up. But Shaky himself is somewhat late planning a pylon here with cannons and batteries. Maybe he's a little bit flustered. He's trying to get his Immortal count back up. Oh, actually here, I stand corrected. He's gotten Robo Bay double Colossi. And against a heavy Roach army, I really don't mind just keep pumping Immortals. They do great against Roaches. But going for this double Colossi here, you'll see how that goes for Shaky. Thermal Lance is being researched as well. And Jaco now is just late kind of punishing this third base location. He went up the ramp when he could have just checkmated Shaky by taking out that third base. Now some Ravagers are morphing. But Shaky now, with his superior worker count, is macroed up in a respectable army size. Let's look at the active forces. He's a little bit less or under Jaco in value. But he has some great tech units. He's got Colossi. He's got an Immortal. This is a mostly Roach Ravager army with one Hydra mixed in. And let's see here. Shaky's getting in position for the fight. Could be a good concave for Shaky, but the Colossi are not in the fight. Roach Ravager take out the Immortal. And this is starting well for Jaco. Walking towards the Colossi. Throws some Biles up. Shaky dodges the Biles. And he's actually pushing this Roach Ravager army back. Oh, Jaco trying to focus down one of the Colossi. Shaky micros back. And this shield just gets recharged by the battery. Hardly any health has been erased from that one. Both Colossi get saved by the batteries. And this is not a good trade for Jaco here. He waited too long to attack this third, and now he's attacking into batteries and cannons. And he just got stuffed hard there. And meanwhile, Shaky with the counter damage, showing some solid Starcraft. And he takes out that third base location, or fourth base location, for Jaco. And these Zealots are not done yet. They're coming in here looking for worker damage. 2 Queens and Lings should be able to defend for Jaco. 1 Queen gets taken out. No transfuse there from the other Queen. But Jaco will clean this up. But meanwhile, Shaky senses blood in the water. And like a hungry shark, he's pushing out on the map here. 2 Colossi with this Stalker Zealot army. He has the army value advantage. And right now, Jaco is pooling a lot of mineral. And in comes Shaky. And those Colossi will do great against this Hydra Ling composition. Lurker hatches. Shaky should focus this egg. He's got it back up from the Lurker spines. Kills the Queen. This egg will build, which is great for Jaco. However, his main Hydra Roach army is getting flatlined. And as long as Shaky stays outside of these Lurker spines, he can take out this hatchery, which is basically checkmate in this game. We see here Shaky taking his 4th Nexus behind this. And he's taken out this base. This base is not even back online yet. We effectively have a 2-base Zerg against a 3-base Protoss. And Shaky can simply walk around the Lurkers. And Jaco had his opening in this game. But instead of attacking the 3rd, he attacked up a ramp into 2 shield batteries. And therefore gave the Shaky time to defend his 3rd. But look here, nice catch by Jaco. If he wants to get back in this game, this is the kind of stuff he needs. Snipes 2 Colossi. Some nice micro. Snipes the Stalker here also on the field. So now Jaco is getting busy with these Lings. He knows he needs to eke out any value he can get. But Shaky doesn't seem to mind too much. He has a commanding army advantage. He could have arguably kept pushing, but he decided to come back home. Kind of defend, reinforce. And when you look at the worker count, 74 probes to 48 drones, you can see why Shaky is comfortable letting this game continue. Even though he could have arguably finished it already. Jaco here needs to not get flustered, needs to keep injecting these hatcheries. He's floating 2,000 mineral. And he needs all the army supply he can get right now to survive the eventual push from Shaky. And he needs more Lurkers out on the field as well. He can morph 3 Lurkers right now, and he needs to be spending all that gas into Lurker, in my opinion. Because Shaky has a formidable ground army. But this Ling and Hydra attack really isn't getting much done. There's cannons and batteries at the 4th. And these Hydras are just caught out in no man's land. And they are getting butchered off creep. They do have the speed upgrade, so these ones will get back. However, Shaky is just walking right in. I believe he does have an observer with his army now. Yep, just targets down the Lurkers. And he's A-moving and wrecking this army right now. And GG is called by both players. And Shaky here will close this one out. He's up 1-0 in this best of 5.